Welcome to Homebuyer School, brought to you by Brookfield Residential. Get ready to learn strategies, tactics, and tips on the home buying process. Join Carl Ye as he talks with experts with the savvy and experience to help you find your perfect home.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Homebuyer School. I'm Carl Ye. This is Corey McDonald, Community Manager with Brookfield Residential. In this episode, we're going to answer the question, what's exactly included in the purchase price of a home? So, Corey, can you tell me, when I'm looking to buy a new home, what's included in the price?
No, that's a fantastic question. A lot of the customers that I'm talking to, that's the biggest thing they want to know is there's a starting price, there's an advertised price, but what does it really come down to when everything that you want included in the home is added up? And every builder, every presentation center might be a little bit different depending on what they include as standard specifications. Is hardwood included? Is your countertop upgrades, is that included as well? Are legal fees included? So a lot of the times, these are the questions that you want to be asking of what are the standard specifications and potentially what are the costs of some of the upgrades that you may want to add into the home. So again, it just depends on builder to builder and presentation center to presentation center. Everyone might be a little bit different.
Okay. So what would be kind of like your advice when someone is looking on the purchase price of a home? What kind of things that should they be looking at?
Absolutely, especially if you're going through a show home parade. A lot of the show homes look beautiful. They're really spruced up to sell a dream, right? So a lot of the times those show homes are selling a dream that are significantly upgraded above and beyond what the standard purchase price is. So finding that out, sometimes doing a walkthrough with the sales associate or the community manager to figure out, okay, what is included, what's standard, and what are some of the generic costs upgraded in each of those presentation centers, just to maybe give you a little bit more of an idea.
Can you give examples?
100%. The show home parades that we're presenting are typically upgraded with really nice countertops. We've done some possibly some structural upgrades, like if we've upgraded to a special shower, or if we've added a third bedroom option in the upstairs or upper floor laundry. Some of those structural options may be an additional cost that aren't noted in that base purchase price.
Now, do some of the show homes actually have a, like, what you'll get in the show home is what you'll get?
A lot of them will. A lot of them you can find breakdowns in typically the kitchens. A lot of them will have what is upgraded in the home. So at least it'll give you an idea of what kind of dream is being presented or what upgrades are added in that home.
Yeah. Now, I know we'll probably cover upgrades in another episode, but if you can give me like a really high overview, so what are some additional costs that we may encounter for upgrades at closing, right?
So you mean additional costs that you can encounter at the closing.
Yeah.
So most upgrades aren't added at closing. Usually that's done prior to, right? Even things like if you're upgrading appliances last minute or landscaping last minute, those are typically done in advance of your closing appointment. Things to keep note of that may be additional would be things like the legal fees. Are those included with the purchase price? Are there any disbursement fees? So again, lawyers may charge an additional cost to do the transfer of money from you as a buyer to the lawyer who's representing the company. A lot of the times property taxes are due at that time too. So your share of the annual property taxes could be due at that point as well. Same thing with homeowners association fees, if those have been paid for the year. Those are little things that, again, talking with the community manager, the sales associate, would give you a better idea of what to expect at the closing appointment too.
Okay. Well, there's actually, I was doing a little bit of research and I actually kind of was looking at a couple other things that I think additional costs that could add up when you're buying your first home. So for example, like you said, property valuation fee. There's a home inspection fee too, right?
Typically, again, if it's a newer build,
Yeah.
then a lot of the city inspections, they would take care of a lot of that.
Okay.
Or again, if the lender that you're using specifically requires an inspection, then that might be additional as well.
Yeah.
So that might be something to defer to your lender specifically, depending on
Okay.
who you're using. With resale, for sure, you want to make sure that you're not buying a complete lemon. So a lot of the times, to make sure that everything's fully functional,
Yeah.
they will have that additional cost included in that closing fees.
There's other things like title insurance, insurance costs for high ratio mortgages, interest adjustments, those kind of things as well.
For sure. And again, I'm not going to claim to be
Yeah.
a specialist. These are definitely conversations to have with your lender, whether it's your mortgage specialist at the bank
Okay.
or your mortgage broker. Just because each lender is going to be a little bit different. A lot of that, like mortgage insurance, depends on how much of a down payment
Yep.
you're going to be putting down as well. So some of those things can be included, but it really depends on the lender. So I'd maybe defer to your lending specialist for those.
There's always one thing I always think about is, are there any hidden costs when you're purchasing a new house? So we've talked about upgrades. We talked about the base price. What are anything that we might not see that, that can come up that we don't know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest ones would be at closing, right?
Okay.
But because typically you can be upfront of what the homeowners association fees are for the year. If it's a condo or a townhouse, if there's a condo fees associated on a month-to-month basis to take care of your landscaping, your maintenance on the exterior as well. But there are those things such as you will need to get homeowners insurance to make sure that everything is secured financially in your home if anything negative happens.
Yeah.
If you do have to pay your property taxes, that would be due at the time of closing. Or even in the case of a new build, after you move in, there's sometimes reassessments that the city does. Typically, when you're at your closing appointment, and if you are paying for your portion of the taxes for the year, it's based on bare land. Basically, you're paying for the land, you're not paying for the house.
Oh, okay.
Then the city would come back and do a reassessment
Yeah.
because now there's a house on that land.
Yeah.
And so later on in the year, usually September, you get a letter in the mail saying that now they've done a reassessment for the land plus the building. And that's depending on the size of the home, that could be a significant chunk of money that's due up front. So being aware of these costs going into your closing appointment will definitely make it a more enjoyable closing experience instead of being surprised by maybe some of these additional costs.
Okay. No, to me, that's really important because I had no clue that a reassessment on the lot itself, rather than just the house. Now, are there reassessments both on the lot and the house?
They would be joint, yeah. And
Okay.
again, this comes into difference between, say, bare land or a condo or bare land redistribution.
Okay.
There's a couple of, I guess, kind of technical, somewhat boring differences between them. But if you own the land versus if the condo board would take care of the land as well. But yeah, it's a reassessment on the land plus the house as well, typically.
Okay. A last question that might be pretty stupid is, I've had a lot of my friends even ask this, and sometimes it came up so much that I have to ask this. Does the price of a house actually include the basement too?
It would include the basement. Now, it depends on, does that mean basement development or just the square footage in the basement?
'Cause I was thinking square footage of the basement, so if the house did come with the basement, but if you had to develop it, it's an additional cost, I would imagine?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So you would pay additionally if you wanted to develop a basement. Now, there is a big difference between what's marketed in the square footage of the home versus what you actually move into. Based on CREB regulations, they can't advertise undeveloped or below grade area in the marketed square footage. So basically the grading of the home is what's above dirt. Right? Basements are below dirt, so even if it is a developed basement, that square footage can't be included in if you're putting it on MLS or if you go into a brochure, if you see a brochure from a builder, that square footage can't be calculated. Yeah, so again, it is included in the purchase. It's just not advertised in the marketing square footage. So that is maybe where some of that confusion comes in.
So are you saying, so if I was buying a house that's 1,500 square feet and the basement was an additional 200 square feet, it would only say 1,500 square feet?
100%.
Oh,
even though the total square footage of the house would be 1,700. Yeah.
So hey, thanks very much. That was actually really informative about the basement because I had no clue about the upper and the lower there, right? So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.
That's another edition of Homebuyer School. Tune in next time for more expert tips and tricks. And visit homebuyersschool.ca to bring you one step closer to finding your dream home. As with everything, it would be great if you like and share our videos. Also, please let us know if you have any home buying questions you want us to answer.